Hi, I'm Anthony Ottawis. In this video, we're going to go over at least 5 reasons why Blender's Asset Browser is a half-baked feature, and why Kitops is a better solution. When I was just getting started in Blender, Kitops was the difference between Blender feeling completely unusable and clunky, and it being usable in something that worked in the way that I thought. It predated the Asset Browser, and I thought it would be obsolete after Blender's features caught up to it. But then they never developed anything beyond the bare minimum. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go through the Asset Browser workflow real quick. First of all, I've got under my file paths, I have set a user library path. That's in your edit preferences file paths. And you want to set this to wherever you are comfortable saving files, and anything marked as an asset in those files will show up in your asset browser. And then for my bottom pane, I've got it selected to the asset browser here. And what that's going to do is anything that I've marked as an asset and saved into that directory, or anything in this current file set as an asset, will show up in this asset browser. So we will create something real quick to work with. You cannot right click and create an asset unless you set up that shortcut yourself. But we're going to go to Object, Asset, Mark as Asset. Now this should show up. Let's see, around the cube. A little hard to see because it didn't show up with its material on it. I don't know why it doesn't show up with the material on it, because that would definitely help distinguish it. Once you have it like that, let's go ahead and get rid of the original. Oh, can't do that. It's in the current file that we need to stay associated to. So you'll see that the normals have a big impact as to the position of the asset you're dragging in, and dragging it in is pretty easy. It's nice to do. Next, let's go look at the workflow on, so now I need to save this, and I'm saving it to my assets. If you don't save it to the assets and you go to open another file, it's not going to be in there. So unfortunately, the only thing, even though I have all this stuff, there's only one thing that's going to get saved as an asset, even though I had to save that whole file into the asset browser location. So the rest is just kind of wasted. That's inaccessible unless you open the blend file. I now can do the open blend file. This is if I want to edit the asset. Now you can see here's what I had saved to that directory, even though the only thing pulled in is the one round cube. The rest is all saved in the blend file. It's kind of a waste. Notice I was not able to get it to update the thumbnail. I don't know what it's going to take. That's the asset browser workflow. There's not much to it. You mark things as assets, you save those files into your asset library folder, and it picks them up. You can categorize them and stuff. Then you can drag and drop them, and then from there, it's pretty manual process. All right, let's see how quick I can show the same workflow with Kitops. And then I'm going to show you some extra things as to why Kitops definitely goes way past the asset browser, even though it came out first. I thought that Blender was going to learn from all the success that Kitops had in order to make something better. It just didn't happen. I've got my same rounded cube. I'm going to select my library first, so you can see all the stuff from my little asset library here. I'm going to right click Kitops and just say create insert, use object origin. Okay, now that I have my object as an insert, and it's created it with the origin in the middle, and since it usually sits on top of the plane if the origin is on the bottom, but I went ahead and created this insert with the origin in the middle. Here's what's cool. I can now delete this file or delete this object. I still have my insert to work with. So even though I'm in the same file that I created my asset with, I don't have to keep all the staging stuff and the assets mixed in one thing. Now that this is extracted into its own file efficiently without a bunch of extra stuff, I can keep messing around with what I've got here and use it as like temp space. Now if I add this insert, notice that the orientation is consistent. Okay. So you have to click something, then you can add the insert to it. But it's pretty easy to do. Now if I want to edit it, I will go to Edit Insert. It's going to take you to that file just like it loaded it. Let's go ahead and grab a few things. can see the thumbnail updated. Very similar to the asset browser, but it seemed to work better. And notice that my materials are showing up in my thumbnails, which I like. So that's the comparison of what is similar between the two things, Kitops and asset browser. I have my cube, I have an insert, add insert, and you'll notice that it's going to have a consistent orientation based on just whatever the insert direction is. This is as opposed to on the asset browser, half of them would be facing at a 90-degree angle. Right? So that can be annoying. This does not have that issue. One of the biggest issues that is missing from the asset browser, or at least the difference between them, is the concept of cutters. So if you want something to cut into, not be additive to your object, then that is simply not an option in the asset browser. However, with Kitops, we can come in and set this wireframe to we'll just create it with the object origin. You can see that it gave us a preview of this cutting in. Just all we have to do is have an object that's in wireframe. Now I can go ahead and delete this. I love that I can delete my original and still have the asset over here, unlike with the asset browser where if you delete your original, you've deleted your asset. It's not going to be able to let you use it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I hit add insert, and you can see that it is cutting in. And the depth that it's cutting in is based on the origin. So you set up however you intend that to work. You just set up the origin for the depth that you want it to go in, although you can always adjust it. But having this to be done as a cutter automatically, and yeah, it's just adding a Boolean modifier, but it saves you a ton of time. If you're anything like me, I love to have things perfectly aligned, or as perfectly as I can. I find that to be difficult when I'm dragging things from the asset browser or just using Blender in general. Here we can say F, and it's going to lock it to the face. I love this kind of a feature. F, lock it to the face. With E, I can snap to an edge. Let me hover over this real quick and we'll see what the vertex. V is snap to vertex. That makes sense. Add insert. You can see we're on the edge. Let's hit V. And now it's on the vertex. You can think about kit bashing literally, and you can create your object with lots of specific hardpoints. And these are the spots that other things are going to insert into. So here I've created a frame, and all these circles are points where I want things to integrate into. And these hexagon things inside them, those are the hard points. So these are Kitops specific objects that it can use to align with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a module that goes into one of these spots. I'm going to make sure my snapping mode is on hard points. I hit add insert, and you can see it snaps into. So I've created this little system where things can literally be a kit or like a building block type system. They have hard points, it snaps directly to them, and everything works out after that. So I'm not spending a lot of time aligning things. They align on their own based on how I created my own little framework. And I thought that feature was pretty cool. Thought I'd share it with others. Now what if you want something to be a combination of a cutter and a solid object? I'm going to select project. These are all my Kitops libraries, by the way. That's just something you accumulate after doing this for a while. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to parent it to this wireframe. What should happen is when I create this as an insert, it's going to cut with the cylinder, and then it's going to add the sphere. And you can do this as many times and as many combinations as you want, and where a lot of those interesting possibilities start coming out. So now you can see we've got both a hole and the sphere it's added. Let's go ahead and get rid of these, and we will add this insert. And you can see it's working as expected. It will cut in with the outer object and then place in the inner object. And we can do this in all kinds of creative combinations. Hopefully you got something useful out of this video. If you too have tried the asset browser and found it wanting, I definitely recommend checking out Kitops. It's one of the few add-ons that I find essential to working in Blender. Asset browser was a good start. I wish them luck in continuing to go down the path. I've listed out the things here that are useful for them to add, and I hope they actually add them and push everything forward. You can find Kitops in the description link below, and you can follow that link to find a free version. Let us know how Kitops is working out for you. We're constantly in Discord, have great support, and a long history of updates. Just as a side note, if you are a fan of Hardpoints and Boxcutter, Kitops is the only add-on that I know of that is supported by those and has an integrated interface to Kitops libraries. There's a reason for that. It's one of the best ones that there is. See you online. Bye.